Are we live?
We're back.
Hi. It's been so long. Sorry for our little hiatus. What had happened was I had work over the summer. I was in good old Washington, D.C., District of Columbia.
Oh, look at you with your branded merch.
Yeah, I know. I had to. This is so soft on the inside, too. I love it. And the period of time where we were supposed to pre-film, I ended up getting actually seriously ill.
You got sick, and then literally a week later, I got COVID.
Yeah, and so it just didn't work out for us, unfortunately. But you know what? We needed the break, I think. Because I think now we're back and we're better than we were before.
Honestly, distance makes the heart grow fonder, and I've missed you so much.
I've missed you. I've missed wrestling. I've missed our community. I've missed everything because when I was gone, I was working 18-hour days, 7 days a week. So I had no time for wrestling. So I'm just now catching up. So bear with me, guys. It's going to take me a long time to catch up. But I have seen a lot of things that I like. And something I think is really funny is that I've come out of wrestling shows being like, oh my God, I really loved that. And then I go on Twitter and people are like, no, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever. Like, oh. And especially some things in AEW. People are like, they've spent months building to this thing. And I have no idea that they've spent months building to this thing. I'm just like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about it.
But you know what? I have to start off because I was getting my toes back into wrestling Twitter. I was doing the thing. I was making my rounds. I was seeing what was going on, who was doing what, because I also had no time for social media. So everybody's doing all these different new podcasts and all these different new shows and all this stuff. And I'm trying to keep up with everybody. But one thing that really stuck out to me was a quote from Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He said, Kenny Omega is in the gym. Kenny Omega is training. He is doing all these things. And I was stoked because I've missed... Kenny Omega has been gone for like 8 months.
Too long.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time. I have genuinely legitimately miss Kenny Omega to the point where I watch wrestling and I'm just like, oh, this would be so much better if Kenny was here.
I agree.
Especially the EVP story, which I'm still catching up on, mind you. But especially the EVP story.
Have we even introduced ourselves?
Oh, no.
We just jumped right in.
We're just so excited to be here.
I'm so excited.
Of course they know us. My name is Kiley. What do you need to know about me?
Give us your favorite summer memory right now.
Non-wrestling memory?
Yeah.
So I went in DC they have a baseball team called the Nationals. And I went to a Nationals game and I didn't know this. But they gave me this bobblehead. They were just giving away these bobbleheads of this guy. His name is Mackenzie Gore. Forgive me if you're a baseball fan, but I have no idea who this man is. And it was like a mystery thing, right? So like you got a mystery jersey and a mystery pose with your bobblehead. And I ended up getting like a really, really cool one. But the euphoria I felt when I handed them my ticket, because it was also a work night. It wasn't just like me going for funsies. It was a work thing.
Yeah.
I walked through. I'm so tired. This was like at the end of July. And they hand me this bobblehead. And I felt like I was on cloud 9. I was like, I have a bobblehead in my life.
If there's anything that you love, it's something tchotchke-like. And something free.
Yeah. Yes. I have a collection of just like little things. Like I have this whale. I have no idea where I got this whale. But she's part of my life. She's been on this desk for like 6 years. I have a Buddha. which was
Oh
given
my
to me.
gosh.
I have Ricky Morton trading card, which was given to me. I have I'll give you a desk tour one day, guys, if you want it.
Listen, that was one of the ideas that we were going to have for filming, is to do like a tchotchke show and tell kind of thing. That's why, by the way, my Divas Barbies are in the back, because that was one thing that we were going to show. Also, I brought out my Olympics Barbie, 96 Olympics Barbie.
I love that.
Just for you. Just for you.
I love the Olympics. And also, I'm sorry to get so off topic, guys. I'm really mad today because I'm a big gymnastics fan. I've always been a gymnastics fan. And Jordan Childs got robbed.
Okay.
Absolutely robbed.
So for anyone who doesn't know me, hi, I'm Auntie Collins. In 1996, I thought, because I was 4'9" in 1996, which means that I was 8 years old, 4'6". I thought, okay, the white balance on here is gonna piss me off. I thought that I was going to be a gymnast because I was the same height as Dominique Mucciano, who is 10 years older than me, but I was convinced, okay? So I got into gymnastics. I've been obsessed with gymnastics, but there's no way in hell that an almost 6 foot tall person is going to be a gymnast in any capacity. But I have a passion for gymnastics. I cry while watching it. Shocker. I know. I've been following Jordan Childs because she's from my home state, Washington, and absolutely been obsessed with this girl. She's worked her butt off. And this all came down to the fact that during her floor routine, that her coach put in like I didn't even know that you could do this, of like questioning the judges.
Yeah, an inquiry. Yeah.
Yeah, because the difficulty level was not taken into account for her floor routine. Thus, the judges reversed their original score and added like a 1/10 of a point or something, which put her over the Romanian. I keep wanting to call them wrestlers. They're not wrestlers, gymnasts. But you have a certain amount of time that you have to do it in, and it was like 4 seconds over.
Yeah.
So the IOC has asked for the medal back from Jordan Childs. And you know what I think she should say?
Come get
it.
No.
No.
And it's crazy to me because they genuinely could have just given Barbosu, who's the Romanian gymnast, just given her a bronze as well and made it a double bronze, because it's just it
wouldn't be the first time,
because like typically if you're not the last gymnast to go, you have 4 minutes to make an inquiry like that, but if you're last, you only have 1. So she was 4 seconds, but if she had been second to last, she would have been fine. That's the thing. And it's not that her difficulty was assessed wrong. Like, it was assessed correctly. Like, they did miss a rotation, which would have given her the 1/10 of a point. But, I hate it.
Insane.
But anyway, to get back to wrestling. Hi, guys.
I mean, speaking of wrestling in the Olympics, the American who was out the last Worlds with 2 torn ACLs took the silver. He just couldn't get that edge, but he's basically wrestling with no ACL on one knee,
which is crazy to me.
Okay.
And like, I know that to get to the Olympics, you have to be superhuman, right?
Right.
You have to have a superhuman body and superhuman mind to push yourself through all of the torture of becoming an Olympic athlete, especially if you're becoming an Olympic athlete in a nation like the United States, where the Olympics are a big deal and they're very competitive. And there's thousands and thousands of athletes in your sport who are competing for like your same spot. So it's crazy. And so it's always funny to me when people watch the Olympics, and it's never something like gymnastics that's super showy. People are like, I could never do that. It's always something like wrestling or boxing. People are like, I could do that. I could totally do that.
Breakdancing?
Breakdancing. They're like, I could totally do that. And I'm like, you don't understand. But I love the Olympics. I get so excited every time the Olympics comes around, summer or winter, it doesn't matter. Not because I'm super like rah America, but because I think it's something, well, with a few exceptions, something that kind of unifies a lot of people and they get really excited about it. And I love seeing athletes from countries that maybe don't have the resources. I love to see them succeed. Like Clown says, best example is Kurt Angle winning gold with a broken neck. Yeah. And that's superhuman
Insane.
to me. Like, if I broke my neck, I'm not wrestling in the Olympics. I'm
Me
sorry.
either.
I'm dropping out. I'm leaving. I'm
going home.
I'm going home. You can do it without me. This is it's just like, no, I can do it.
No.
And not only am I going to do it, I'm going to win. I'm going to medal. That's the thing. And that's one last Olympic comment from me before I spend this whole time talking about the Olympics. Gold, silver, and bronze. The difference between a bronze athlete and a gold athlete is the slimmest, teeniest, tiniest margin that realistically, those three could have been in any order at any point in time. Like, there's so much that's up to chance, which in gymnastics, one of the things that is up to chance is inquiry and the judges and all that kind of stuff. So that's just the name of the game. That's part of the sport, unfortunately. So I was really, really upset by their decision to strip her of the bronze. I really was.
I agree. But yeah, get your super chats in. You know that you can give your little super chats for little old us. And you can guarantee that you will get your comment read up here with us, our beautiful shining faces. What have you seen? I'm so curious. Did you see the Damian Priest documentary?
I did not. So basically, I came back and I slept for like 4 days. And then I was like, okay, what should I start with? And I started with Forbidden Door for some reason.
Perfect.
So I watched Forbidden Door. I really liked it. I watched a couple AW Dynamites and a couple Collisions. I watched SummerSlam, which I have thoughts on. Let's start there. Let's start with SummerSlam because I need to get it out of the way. What? So SummerSlam. So Rhea Ripley does this like angle that would have been really impactful where she like dislocates her shoulder and pops it back into place. But the issue was every match before that, someone was injured in the exact same way. They were all injured by the stupid ring post. So I get to Rhea Ripley and I'm like, you're not special, honey, because all these other people just got hurt in the same exact way. And another thing about the Rhea Ripley thing, how come I have no issue with Dominic Mysterio. I watched him grow up. I saw his father and Eddie Guerrero fight over him. As far as I'm concerned, he is a childhood friend.
Sorry.
How come he is the center of a feud that would have defined the women's division for the entire year? Can I just preface that?
Why are men ever?
I know that people really, really liked it. They liked Rhea Ripley and Judgment Day breaking up and like all this stuff. I get it. But also, we're talking about two women's wrestlers, two athletes who have proven time and time again that they are like key players in the women's division. And you're like, but what if it's Dominic Mysterio who's the star at the end of the day?
Him and his gross, greasy mullet.
Someone has to talk to him about that mullet. And also, the chicken tenders always with the chicken tendies.
What do you mean chicken tendies?
He's always, every time he is out to eat, he's like getting chicken tendies.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but like, why is that such a big part of his wrestling persona? Is these chicken tendies?
In the neuro spicy community, that's like our bread and butter. You know what I mean? It's chicken tendies.
I have nothing against chicken tendies because you know why? Because I feel like a lot of restaurants, they get their chicken tendies from the same supplier. So
I agree.
They taste the same a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Same thing with French fries.
Okay, what do you dip your chicken tendies in?
Honey mustard. When I was a kid, I was a ketchup person, but I feel like I've grown. I like a honey mustard.
A good honey mustard.
Or like a hot honey. So good. So good. French fries, I'm still a ketchup person. I love French fries and ketchup.
Okay.
But
I have a lot of problems with the opening the show with Liv and Rhea after the build is basically like single white female, that kind of persona. It just,
and the thing was, it was a good match. It wasn't anything that I would write home about, but it was a good match because with Rhea and Liv, it's going to be hard to have a bad match, in my opinion.
Right.
I love them both. It was just strange.
Almost 16 minutes. And it was after the shoulder spot was when I suspended my disbelief of like, okay, she can't be injured. This isn't real.
Yeah.
But it made me believe it was real.
Yes.
And I kind of wish that Liv and Dom hadn't had like kissed or done anything until that.
Yeah.
I just wish it didn't happen there. I don't.
Yeah, and I love Rhea Ripley. I think that she is, despite all of her success, I think she's still vastly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess this kind of story is just not for me. Like, I'm not really
the target audience. Yeah.
No, I'm not the target audience. I'm not really a big fan. I don't mind romance stories in wrestling. Period. I don't mind it. And sometimes I actually like it. But I don't like when it's so like in my face teen drama that I almost get, it's a little cringy. Because
teen drama, that's a perfect way to describe that.
Yeah. Because it's very much like, oh, look at me, I'm gonna kiss your boyfriend, haha. And then you cuts to Rhea Ripley like crying in the ring. Like, I don't know. It's the way they're telling it, I think. Because I'll be the first to admit there's been romance stories in wrestling that I have really enjoyed. And also stories that are like pseudo-romantic or whatever. But it's like you either have to be very mature about it in a dramatic kind of way, or you have to be on the opposite end of the spectrum, so out there and so camp that I have no choice but to love this wild, wacky story that you're telling me. And I think back to like, you remember Otis and Mandy Rose?
Yes, I was just thinking
that was that end of the spectrum. That was so wild and campy and just so good. And then Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Dom fall somewhere in like the weird, mushy middle of it all. And it's just not all that great. And then also, like Ace says in the chat, Bracelet Gate is a thing on wrestling Twitter.
Okay, so Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are no longer battling for a belt because there's no belt, right?
Yeah.
They're battling over a bracelet, and then Seth Rollins has the bracelet on his wrist, and CM, like, that triggered a feral response with CM Punk. That was my issue, is like, this has been a great match. Watching both of them kick the absolute piss out of each other. And then it's like imploding on itself because CM Punk goes, now Seth is wearing my friendship bracelet.
Yeah, and so the thing about CM Punk, because he is older, and I think I think it's like not cruel to acknowledge that he's not physically where he used to be, which is fine
Right.
because you're older and you put your body through a lot, and I respect you for that. He needs really deep stories to make things work. Like in AEW, it was like the MJF story, right? And this could have been an MJF level story. But this friendship bracelet says Larry on it, and I think it says AJ.
It does say AJ.
And so it's obviously like a symbolic like representation of CM Punk's family. So I follow you there. But the fact that CM Punk has been in a blood feud with Drew McIntyre for months, and he picks him up, and he sees the bracelet, and he puts him down to get the bracelet. Why didn't you just get his wife? Bring her to the show, or his dog, and then I believe it. But it's some beads on string that I'm supposed to believe to him is so sentimental and symbolic of his family. If they had brought his family here and Drew McIntyre's messing with his family, that's the story. And I think that's the story that they tried to tell, but through like the symbolism of the bracelet. But you could have just won the match and then beat up Seth for the bracelet. Like it wasn't one or the other, and it was never one or the other. So that's where they really lost me with that.
It's not like it's like the one ring to rule us all, you know, like the times that, you know, Frodo dropped the ring in Lord of the Rings and another person put it on and it was their demise. Like that's not how this is being portrayed to us. It's not like, oh, you are wearing the bracelet, you have my family now. Like that's not how this works. So getting distracted by something symbolic was okay. CM Punk, you obviously like,
yeah, especially since this was CM Punk's first match,
his first singles match back, and he loses.
And they had spent so long convincing me on Twitter and on TV and on Instagram and everywhere that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre hated each other so much that the moment they got in the ring, no one was going to be able to control them. That was the story they told us. And then apparently, all it took was a bracelet.
A bracelet.
And shout out to Seth Rollins for doing his damnedest to make that work. Because he had that bracelet and he was roasting CM Punk. He was like, it's not about you. Not everything's about you. I'm just holding onto the bracelet. Blah, blah, blah. Because he was the referee. And CM Punk was like, okay, whatever. And then
he went back to it. Why?
I was so confused by this, and I went to Twitter, and I don't want to talk about any of the drama that happened on Twitter because people I love dearly were fighting about it, and I don't want to do that. But I was like, why? Because you could have had a really, really great match if you paced it and you let CM Punk gave him room to breathe. Because that's another thing. He was gassed. He was done 3 minutes in. He was done. Which I'm not shaming him for, by the way.
No.
I'm just stating a fact. Don't come at me. Don't do it. You could have done something really, really great with it. And Seth Rollins didn't need to be there, but whatever. Seth Rollins can be there. I don't care. He was serving a look.
On point.
He was serving a look. He was the best actor of the three. He did his job. But he didn't need to be there. But he was there. So whatever. But the bracelet. And like, here's the thing. The bracelet didn't really ignite the feud. Like, it was completely pointless. If they had been fighting this whole time over a bracelet, nobody would have been that excited for this match.
It's not even a good bracelet.
It's just a friendship bracelet. And I understand that friendship bracelets have sentimental value. And I understand that, like, people make them for you. Like, I have one right here that was made for me by my sister. It has sentimental value. But, like, if a man spends months insulting me and my family, and then he's like, ooh, look over here at the bracelet, I'm going to be like, no, actually, I'm going to beat you up. And then I'm just going to take the bracelet.
It's like, it just is giving me like dog training like redirection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When my dogs are about to get triggered, right? There's something, bigger dog in the distance, or my dog, Archer, does not like skateboards, and he will, I don't know what it is. He must have been attacked by a kid in a skateboard. But when that's happening, a trigger is happening, you take out a treat and they're fixated on that treat until the distraction leaves, and all is well. Nobody is blown up. Blood pressure isn't raised. I'm not yelling obscenities at my dogs for being assholes. And that's how this felt. It was like, ooh, CM Punk, I'm putting on this bracelet. Sorry, I don't have bracelets at my desk, but it's like the putting on the bracelet, and now it's suddenly the music from Lord of the Rings has come out, and my precious, he's turned into Gollum.
And I see him. And the thing is, right? And I don't want to harp on this too much because, like,
I agree with Jackie in the chat, by the way. Fighting over a Cartier bracelet or something like that actually has value. Also, hi, love you, Jackie.
Jackie's one of like the loves of my life. I love Jackie.
Serious?
But this is like this environment, right? Take Seth Rollins out because he's like a non-factor in this right now.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of feud is where both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have been at their best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like highly personal, disgusting, like I'm gonna kill you no matter what you want. And they said, you know what would really make this better? A little bit of spice. And
a little bit of spice?
By his wife. Like, it wasn't, she didn't make it. A fan made it, which shout out to that fan. Because you didn't know what you were
canon now.
I saw them on Twitter. I can't recall their name. But they are on Twitter, and they have a picture of them giving the bracelet to CM Punk. So it's like actually a real thing.
Oh, okay.
So but it's not. They just decided to turn it into a prop. Can you imagine if MJF stole a friendship bracelet from CM Punk and that dog collar match they had was over a friendship bracelet? Imagine. He
would have made it into a dick ring or something.
And then it was like Moxley, a special guest referee or something. Speaking of guest referees, Christian Cage.
Okay. I told you a turtleneck could ruin my life. And it would be on the body of Christian Cage. He could listen, I'm married. It doesn't mean that my life can't be still ruined.
It was so to fill you in last night on Collision. It was I'm pretty sure it was number one contenders. It was House of Black versus the Bang Bang Gang. For the trios titles, Christian Cage and Mama Wayne and Nick Wayne are trios champions, apparently. And Christian Cage was special guest referee, and he shows up in a striped referee turtleneck. He committed to the bit, and I love him for it. There's a picture of it in the thumbnail. That's how much I loved it. It made the thumbnail. And I was ecstatic. This match was also great. Shout out, Brody King is an unsung hero of AEW.
So good. Absolutely
fantastic. Every time
fantastic.
you put that man in a ring, he delivers. So where's his singles run, Tony? Where's it? I'm waiting. But anyway,
we are all waiting.
Christian Cage is a star. The turtleneck thing, I don't know if he intended it to be this, months, years long story of him in these turtlenecks and the Steve Jobs look, but he's committing, and I respect it because listen, he pulls it off. I'm going to be straight with you. Not everybody can pull off a turtleneck. Some people look like worms. Christian Cage is no worm. That is a man.
Oh my God. Put that in the headline. Some people look like worms.
They do. Some people look like little worms in their turtlenecks.
I was just shocked that he had sleeves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It kind of added to like the mystique of it all, though.
I thought that he was gonna like pull out something from his sleeve, you know, kind of.
What do you think he would have had up there? Worms.
Oogly boogly. I don't know. I mean, we've been playing with the screwdriver with Don Callis, so something of a weapon, a knife. I don't know.
Why is Don Callis still here? I leave, I come back, and Don Callis remains.
It's nauseating.
He's everywhere. Like the Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher story. I don't like Don Callis being there, but I respect that he's part of that story because it's important for understanding Kyle Fletcher. And the Will Ospreay cradling him like a baby right in my heartstrings. I was like, ah! I love that. I love Kyle Fletcher. So Don Callis being there, I don't mind. But Don Callis is just showing up wherever he wants, presumably. And why? Because he hasn't cut, in my opinion, like a really scathing promo in a long time. It's always, hi, I'm Don Callis. Everybody who's friends with me is the best. Anyway, here's this wrestler who's going to have a match with you.
I just love that Don Callis's scar keeps getting bigger and redder as time goes on, because that's the opposite of what scars do over time.
Yeah, I love that he is like playing up how tough he is. He's like, yeah, I'm Don Callis. I beat Kenny Omega. He's like taking the wins of others as his own. And I'm excited to see the Don Callis family collapse simply because I hate their entrance song. It makes me nauseous because like the bass is so heavy. It feels like someone has cradled my stomach and it's like, shaking it. And also because he's just, most often when Don Callis is involved in a feud, he doesn't need to be. But Christian Cage. Christian Cage could be anywhere he wants to be. Christian Cage could feud with anybody, and I would support him. All of his wrongs are rights, in my mind.
Exactly. Turtleneck stays on, you know?
Turtleneck stays on. And you know what? Killswitch, stop being such a big baby about these trio titles. Mama Wayne deserves it.
Agreed.
She birthed the prodigy.
Do we have a Mama Wayne shirt specifically, or is it just like a Prodigy shirt? Can someone fact check me?
Does Mama Wayne have merch?
That's what I want to know, because I don't like, hot take, I don't really like ordering from pro wrestling tees. It takes too long. My biggest issue with impulse buying is that I want to see it in 2 weeks. I don't want to see it in a month. Unless it's a pre-order and it's like, oh, we need this many things. Hello, one of my Jordan Grace figures I ordered back in May. It's not going to arrive until October. I'm totally down with that. But I want a shirt that's concurrent with what is going on in the ever-changing schedule and storyline of wrestling. And if I want something that says, Mama Wayne, I don't know. I'm not a creative person in that regard. But if I want Mama Wayne and her beautiful hair and all black attire, that is concurrent to what is going on right now. I don't want to wait until the end of September. Oh my God. Imagine that as a crop top. And then I put a lacy bralette underneath it.
I love her.
Absolutely.
Mama Wayne could do anything.
We support women's rights and women's wrongs.
Especially, she shows up and she is serving, okay? Everything about her is a slay. She walks like with the most confidence I've ever seen a woman walk with. Mm-hmm. And what I really love is that she is always, one, she's dressed to impress. And Absolutely. Two, she knows that she's hot. Mm-hmm. She knows. And when a woman is aging and she knows that she's hot, that's when you know you've struck gold. Because that tells me she does not care what society expects of her. Mm-hmm. She does not care what society thinks about her. She knows that she's hot and she's going to dress like she's hot. And that is what I love.
Honestly, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can we say that here?
Can we say that here? I just did. YouTube, don't demonetize us. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Look, it was me.
It was quoted. It was quoted.
I was reading the chat.
I'm gonna send you a video after this. It's related to that. Just whatever. So at Defy Wrestling, right? So I've been watching Nick Wayne wrestle since he was 15 years old. Been going to local shows. I watched him in his first show, his first match on a show. 15 years old. This speaking of worms, he just looked like a worm with tights on. Red tights.
Still has like the baby fat.
Yeah,
that all teenage boys have. Yeah,
so adorable, and like the little stubble, like so adorable. Anyways, his mom always went to his shows, and I would always, for some reason, because I'm a stander, right? Like in indie shows, some people sit. I have to wander. I stimuli, and I always end up standing in the overflow area. And one time I looked over, and it was just like this tall blonde bombshell, and I was like, someone smells so good, and that never happens at a wrestling show. And I look, and it's Mama Wayne, and I was like, you smell so good. And she goes, thank you. It's my own, mix of thing, whatever she gave me. And it's like, I don't have a pen and paper. I'm not going to remember this.
She knows that she's hot. She knows that people know that she's hot. That's what I love about her. I
love it.
Mama Wayne, exceptional. I think that she, for me, has been one of the highlights of 2024 in wrestling. I adore.
Absolutely.
Ace in the chat says, Kip Sabian, what's the deal with him? Speaking of someone who gives us everything. Kip freaking Sabian. I have loved Kip Sabian for all of AEW. Because I didn't know who Kip Sabian was before AEW. And I think that he is just so incredible. He's a great athlete. He's a great character. He walked around with a box on his head for months. Okay. He's committed to the bit. Also, the only time I've ever met Kip Sabian, he had the box on his head. And he did not talk with this box on his head. Okay. It was like a meet and greet, and it was like Jade Cargill, Men of the Year, and then Kip Sabian just showed up. Okay, he was not scheduled to be there. He had the box on his head. So I go up and I'm like, hi, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you just sign this? Because he also had not like full, like these, like full, pictures, headshots. He had like little teeny tiny cards of him. And he was writing life advice on all of them. And you know what? I adopt all the children at wrestling shows. So there's little girls with me. And they're talking to Kip Sabian, and they are in love with him because he has this box on his head, and they think it's so funny. And he's writing the same life advice to these like 6-year-olds and that he was writing to everybody else. It was just like all about identity and like finding yourself, and just like the most incredible human being is the moral of the story. I also love Penelope. Same. Always a gem. Always kind to everybody. So great. So the fact that Kip is finally, I think, getting something how do I phrase this without sounding like I'm like shitting all over AW? Getting something that I feel is like at his level, right? Yeah. Because I always thought that Kip Sabian should have been one of the pillars. And I understand things happened, in his personal life. Things happened. Right. But I always felt like he should have been up there. And I always felt like, and this might be controversial, I always felt like he should have been valued above Sammy and probably above MJF, if we're being honest. Is that controversial?
No, I love it because he has the look, he has the move set. If you've watched a long Kip Sabian match, he has it. And the first match that I was like, oh, that's Kip Sabian. It was Darby. Wasn't it Darby, Kip, and Joey Janela Or am I thinking of something else? My memory is bad. I blame COVID. It might have been a fever dream. Is it a fever dream?
I don't know. All that's coming to mind is when the match where he dislocated his finger and popped it back in. But I think Sunny Kiss was there.
Oh, maybe Sunny Kiss was there.
What? Does anybody in the chat remember this match? That dream that he dislocated his finger? I don't.
But honestly, he's been at the beginning, the inception of AEW. Mm-hmm. I like his look. His accent does not I think that some people shouldn't speak, and he is one of those people that I think should have all the words, right? Mm-hmm. He should take all the words from people like Sammy Guevara, who I think should never speak. I do not like any Sammy Guevara promo. No, I'm not a fan of him. It's fine. It's fine. We talked about his little shitty man bun on our Ring of Honor post show this last week, because guess what? He was on Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I respect Sammy Guevara for pushing through a lot of the hate that gets sent to him.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of the hate is justified. But anyway.
So there was one story, by the way. So Aubrey is from my area as well. Mm-hmm. And we were talking early on in AEW, and there was a time when she was like, yeah, most of the locker room doesn't really like, Sammy Guevara. They all just, look at him like he's a kid. And I was like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah, one time he was in the ring and he legitimately rolled his ankle, and he was complaining to as we were getting out of the ring, and I just said, walk off. Just walk off.
One thing that I always think of when Sammy is talking is that he comes across so inauthentic.
Yeah.
That you can tell that he is very, very unsure and nervous.
Yeah.
And he's trying to act. But the thing what makes a good promo, like someone like Moxley or Danielson or CM Punk, is that they're very natural, and they're very much themselves. They are not acting. As much as the promo is not, in WWE scripted, but kind of preset, I guess the word would be. They're very much like, this is me. I'm telling you all of these things, and it comes across this natural. Yeah. Sammy Guevara, though, Sammy's trying so hard to be a perfect version of himself, I think, that he often misses the mark. And I think that's his it's one of those things where it's his biggest enemy is himself. Yeah. So Sammy being an ROH, I've not caught up, mind you, but I think that it might do him some good to, find himself with a smaller crowd where he's not attracting that kind of attention and that kind of hate. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed, but Kip Sabian is very natural. Kip Sabian comes across to me very comfortable in who he is and his character and what's expected of him and all that kind of stuff. So I hope it's good, because I think the other pillars, apart from Sammy, I think the other pillars have found their groove. Jungle Boy took Jack Perry, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy.
In my head, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Jack Jerry?
Jack Jerry, Jungle Man. I think it took him a lot longer to find his way, but I think he's in his groove now with the EVP story and being the scapegoat. I think that is a great role for him. And I do think he's improved leaps and bounds. I'm going to be honest. MJF, I don't want to talk about that. We need to skip that. Everything that's happening with MJF, we can't do it.
I can't.
I can't. But Sammy, I don't know. And it sucks because he is so young and athletic, and he could have been so much more by now if he wasn't tripping over these small little things along the way.
Do you think that the Chris Jericho effect had any fault in that? I don't want to blame.
Yeah, I think Oh, Chris Jericho. I think the entire inner circle got screwed over by the inner circle. And I think for Sammy, the turning point where he really started to go downhill was when he won that inner circle versus the elite match, where he got the pin and that he was like, yeah, the inner circle staying together. And then everything after that, where he's constantly coming back to Chris Jericho and constantly getting involved with him. I think that has been his ultimate downfall, because as much as Chris Jericho and other people want to say that being in a faction with Chris Jericho helps you, I think statistically, if we look at the numbers, it doesn't. Okay. Mm-hmm. Look at the inner circle. Who from the inner circle has made significant advancements? Jericho Appreciation Society. Your only survivor is Anna Jay. We shout out Anna Jay for going to Japan, by the way.
Okay. Looking fabulous. Did a fabulous job from what I saw. She's
gonna come back and be a superstar. But yeah, I think Sammy definitely got screwed by not just the inner circle, but constantly like being pulled back into Jericho's orbit. Anytime Jericho needed a friend, it's Sammy. And it was like over and over and over and over again, where he's not being himself. He's just always Chris Jericho's lackey. And anytime that he acted out against Chris Jericho, he got great reactions. Like, people wanted him to destroy Chris Jericho. Mm-hmm. And it just never happened how I think it should have happened.
I'm always down to blame everything on Chris Jericho. So
yeah, because and all the stuff, the learning tree.
Okay, I love it though. Stop. I love it. We can fight about it next week.
There's something so. Yeah, we'll fight about it next week because I have a lot of thoughts. But anyway, back to AEW. Can we talk about Shida? Hikaru Shida.
Okay, this promo last night, if you did not watch Collision, I would highly suggest going to do that. Shida's promo, her English has vastly improved. Whatever she is doing, keep doing it. Love it. But the way that she communicated, the passion that she's put behind it, I absolutely love it. I wish we didn't know what the outcome was going to be, because I hope that Shida is not here's my problem. I hope that Shida isn't winning, because that's what happened last All In. She won so that Saraya could get the stupid win, right?
Yeah.
So I hope she doesn't win, because we've been watching this for a while, right? Just for Britt to come in, like that would be atrocious and terrible booking. And knowing some of the people that are in charge of booking right now, especially for the women's division, I know that would never happen. However, I want to see Shida get something great at Wembley, and I don't know how we get there. But this promo, I don't think it's too late. It's definitely right before the exit. Hello, we have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know, put more of that on my television and less of the crap booking, where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for me, I think that they really dropped the ball when they were doing that Outcast story where it was Saraya, it was Tony, and they kind of teased Shida going on this absolute tear. But, like, to me, they didn't really deliver as they should have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be really interesting if Shida loses and then goes on an absolute tear of the women's division and, like, reminds people why she is the ace. And I would love to see Shida Nyla Rose. I would love to see Shida versus... Sorry, my phone was vibrating. I had to end the call. Shida, there's like... Because I think... And I don't think I'm in the minority here. I think that this women's division roster is like the best AW has had. I think they have a lot of stars and a lot of people who are like up and coming. So I think that you could really get a lot out of Shida, and then come like full gear-ish around there. You could do Shida versus anybody, and it would be like something everybody would look forward to. It doesn't even have to be for a title. But I think I don't know, because I think Shida is undoubtedly, to me, the best women's wrestler there. And I think that we still haven't even scratched the surface with Shida and AW. So I think that they need to just commit. And I think that's where AW has been really struggling in 2024, is that they aren't committing to things like I feel like they should be. They're kind of teasing things or like getting like surface level stories, like gauging crowd reactions, but then they don't follow through. And if they do follow through, it's like weeks later when I don't care about it anymore. And so I don't know. All in is going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. The women's division is in such a weird place where like Willow and Chris Statlander to me is a 10 out of 10. Love everything about that. Love everything about heel Chris Statlander. Like I knew I would, but love it. Mercedes, I've really, really enjoyed Mercedes Moné. I know there's opinions about that. I've really enjoyed her. Toni Storm and Mariah May is
so good.
It's perfect.
So good.
That whole story, every angle, every aspect of it, so good. Incredible. I think has really, that in itself alone has turned the division around more than Mercedes has. And that's not a knock on Mercedes. That's just me saying that this is like monumentally important. What
do you think of Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo?
I love it. And so here's the thing. I'm not normally a fan of just running the same match again and again to like keep people relevant. You know what I mean? But I think that they've done a really good job with Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo of making me believe that that these are two women who realistically could be competing for a title, but they despise each other so much that they're here instead, which I love. And I think Deonna is doing Thunder Rosa as well, but Deonna especially is doing some of the best work I've seen her do. I don't want to say of her career, but that I've seen her do. And so I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed their match on Collision. I'm hoping that they make it onto the All In card in some way, because I imagine All In is going to be like 50 hours. It's going to have
50 hours.
Also, okay.
Go on.
Let's say it's like 5 hours. It'll probably be more than that if we're being honest with ourselves.
5 hours?
Because Tony Khan, I think he's like, okay, it's in England, which is 5 hours ahead of the East Coast. So that means the East Coast people won't be tired. They won't be whining. So we can do a longer show. That's what he did last year.
Was it really that long?
I feel like it was. Maybe it just felt long because I had to watch Saraya win.
I mean, we currently have 8 matches. 1 on the pre-show, which is Chris and Stokely versus Willow and Ishii, which, by the way, my husband and I looked at each other and I go, why does every time Ishii come up on my screen, I'm wearing the same outfit?
That's your
Ishii bike shorts and a long shirt. And then on Hey EW, the preview for it, he's asleep. And literally, I fall asleep during Dynamite and Collision every week. Have you seen me and Ishii in the same room at the same time? No.
You are Ishii. But Boris also says, and I want to just bring this up really quick. They teased Brett versus Hayter and didn't pull the trigger, praying for Hayter's return. Me and you both.
Oh,
because
Camille in the picture as well.
I genuinely think if Jamie Hayter is ready at All In, I think that if she returns at All In, I'm not saying she is, I'm speculating. I think that would be one of the biggest crowd reactions ever. Fans have been clamoring for Jamie Hayter for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's All in London. It's Jamie Hayter.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely, and I'm not saying that she's going to be ready. I'm not saying she's returning at All In. But, like, if you're Tony Khan, and she's even remotely close, get her.
Get her.
That's what I'm saying.
We have a casino gauntlet match during All In.
Oh, that's true.
It's going to be a long show. So you said it's 5 hours, so that it's 8 hours behind for me. What time does it start?
I have no idea.
All In 2024 start time. 8 a.m. Pacific time.
He's gonna go all day. He's gonna do a 12-hour pay-per-view.
So 2 weeks. So technically, the kickoff is at 8 a.m. The show starts at 9 a.m. When are we doing our show? After?
I guess.
The day before?
Oh my God, Tony! He did this to spite us. He heard us talking shit, and he said,
"Oh my God."
It's going to be a good show, though. Listen, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic about AEW right now. I know that a lot of people are kind of down on it. They don't like the EVP story. They don't like this. They don't like that. But I genuinely feel like AEW is on solid footing right now. I think that...
Do you think they're getting back to their 2019 promised glory? Or are we too far gone?
There's like shades of it there, but like the thing for me is that Tony Khan isn't taking enough risks. Like he's very much like in his safe zone. So like I tweeted about this, but like something about the Young Bucks, the Acclaimed, and FTR being some combination of them, the tag match at All In feels so disingenuous because I understand they're the three biggest tag teams in the division. I understand that they're the draws, whatever. But if they ran this show in 2019, it would have been Private Party. And they would have done a story where the Young Bucks, the cowardly EVPs, are scared of Private Party, and Private Party gets the mega babyface win. They would have done that in 2019. But they're not doing it now, which feels, I don't know. And it's not a knock on like the Young Bucks or FTR or the Acclaimed. Well, it's kind of a knock on the Acclaimed. But I don't know. And like other stuff too kind of falls into the same trap with me where it feels like you're booking something very, very safe because, you know, fans, if it's kind of middle of the road, they'll accept it no matter what. That you're not really taking any big risks and pushing talent. And it's like, I think the only story well, there's two, and they're both in women's division. I think Willow versus Chris is a big risk. And I think Mariah May, Toni Storm is a big risk. Everything else feels kind of like, okay, that's expected of you. Like,
I feel like there's not a lot of specifically AEW tag teams. A lot of them are going to ROH.
Yeah.
Split, whatever. Because we have the Acclaimed, we have Aussie Open, but Mark Davis is not back. Yeah. Blackpool Combat Club shows up in some capacity, you know, with the four of them. We haven't seen the Butcher and Blade.
Yeah.
Bullet Club Gold, we saw last night, you know, the Guns and Juice are, you know, doing business while Jay White is out. We know that the conglomerate is only here for a little bit with Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy, which is something that you missed. They're called the Conglomerate, and all I think of is Colgate toothpaste. So I just think the toothpaste boys.
When I heard about the Conglomerate, I hadn't seen them yet, but I think someone had texted me about it, and they were like, "You're gonna love this." So, and I was right up my alley.
Sure.
Right up my alley. But all I could think about was the Hardy family office.
Oh no.
So scared. I was so scared because if you know me, you know I was a hater. Hardy family office, get out. Get out. Get out of here. I hated it. And all I could think about was that. And I was like,
Money Matt? Yeah, that was. Oh God. Well, we still have the Dark Order in some capacity, which I think they need to shuffle up some things. We have the Death Triangle for now, but the Lucha Brothers are on their way out. The Don Callis family that we don't want to talk about, but I do love Takeshita. I do love Kyle Fletcher. We have the Elite in their multitude of ways. We do have FTR, the House of Black, Blue Kings of Black Throne. You know, we saw them last night. The Infantry, which has been heavily on ROH. Iron Savages on ROH. The La Faction on, I can never say it. But it's, yeah, El Faction on it, and yeah, with Drilistigo, Preston Vance, you know, Roosh, all those people. The Learning Tree, which we have issue with. The Patriarchy, Private Party, The Righteous, which has been heavily on ROH. Shane Taylor Promotions, which has been heavily on ROH. Spanish Announce Project, heavily on ROH. Top Flight, jumping from ROH to AEW, and the Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom, in some capacity. So there really isn't a lot of exclusivity. Yeah. It's, who else would you have in that match? I don't know. Top Flight?
I don't know. And like the thing for me, oh yes. Can I just say?
Oh my God. Cosmetically,
but I, as a tag team wrestling super fan, right? Like if I had to pick like my dream matches, like tag team wrestling is always on my mind because I feel like it's such a unique way to tell stories, right? Like there's so many different ways to take it. I love tag team wrestling. I used to have a show called Tag Talk, for Pete's sake, okay?
Pete's sake.
But AEW, for a company that was like for so long, you know, we're going to focus on tag team wrestling, we're going to do all these things. Their version of tag team wrestling has become, we're going to make these like piece together factions, and they're going to probably have Chris Jericho in them. And then it's going to be just different combinations of those teams forever and ever and ever. We have a super chat from Delayed Gratch. He said you just rattled off like 20 tag teams. LOL. Teach them more. And did you miss the Outrunners and MSM?
I did miss the Outrunners. How dare I?
The Outrunners are also great.
You can fire me.
And thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you.
AW does have a lot of tag teams, but I think the point for me is that they all feel like they're on the same level.
Yeah.
Except as long as Young Bucks and FTR obviously at the top because it's Young Bucks and FTR. But it very much feels like everybody's just kind of like walking the same line, and they're not doing enough to like make a structure to the tag division, if that makes sense. So it's like, yes, they have great, phenomenal teams, but we don't see them enough. So I think that they're kind of turning around on that. FTR versus Outrunners was great.
That was such a fun match last night.
Yeah. And I think they're getting away from, like I was talking about earlier, like, here's a faction, and our tag team matches are going to be faction wars. And I think they're kind of getting back into the groove where they're like prioritizing tag teams like as an item, where the story is the tag team versus the tag team, and not like can they coexist? Or how does winning or losing this feud affect the future of the faction and like that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And I think they're also getting into a place where they're making a clearer distinction between tag team and trios, which I think they've needed for a long time. Because it was for a long time, it was like, okay, here's this tag team, throw in a singles guy and ship them to trios.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting back into a place where they have a better understanding of who fits where and all that. So fingers crossed. But the thing for me, I'm not all that excited to see Young Bucks versus FTR again, or Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed, or FTR versus the Acclaimed, or all three versus each other. One, because the Acclaimed need work. They need a reboot. They need something. I love the Young Bucks. I love the Elite story. Controversially, I love the EVP story. I know that that is controversial to say. I love FTR. Will always love FTR. You could pry FTR from my cold, dead hands. Okay? Mm-hmm. I don't like that Tony Khan says, okay, we need a tag title match. Who we got? That's it. We're just going to go with a safe bet. We're going to do it. I don't like that. Because you have so many tag teams who, if you put them against the EVPs, they'd get over as baby faces immediately. Absolutely. Because this EVP story is designed, it's tailor-made to make a new star tag team. And why is that not Private Party? Private Party beat the Young Bucks in the first AW tag title tournament 5 years ago. The very beginning of AW, Private Party beat them. And we have not capitalized on it since. It's been 5 years. I think we're due. We're due.
We're due. Well, this has been such a great show. I love catching up with wrestling. I'm excited for next week because we're basically just previewing all in.
Hopefully we have some direction. And understanding
this has just been a catch up, and I'm really glad if you're watching this, whether live or on the replay. Thank you so much for joining us because honestly, I've missed you guys so much, and I know that some of you have been watching the Ring of Honor Honor Ramble with me while I've been cycling through guests and stuff this summer. So thank you so much for showing me love over there. But we've missed you. How do you do that?
This?
I think my fingies are too small.
And then this one. This is like the new one.
What is that?
It's a little heart. That's the new one. So one of my coworkers over the summer showed me this. And I was like, I'm like, this is so easy. Like, why would go to all this trouble? This is also too much. I think this was popular when Justin Bieber was doing it. Do you remember that? Was that the Apple Dance? Oh, I know all about the Apple Dance.
Listen, I have one over on TikTok that it has a couple of thousand views. I hit 1 million views on a video where I was just reacting to lots of things happen while you're gone. And I have a collaboration with a brand. My first collab with a brand this week, so you'll see videos of that.
Well, go follow Collins on TikTok. I don't have to talk, but
you should.
I follow you everywhere else.
It's a lot of fun. Well, Kiley, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at Kiley Wrestling. I have been slowly getting back into wrestling, catching up. I've been asking you guys a lot for your thoughts. So I asked you yesterday what I should catch up on. So if you have something, you can go comment it there. I've been kind of getting back in the groove of live tweeting, of watching shows. It's been a bit difficult, but I've been doing it. So follow me on Twitter at Kiley Wrestling. And you can see me here on Wrestling Made Me Cry every Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, on Fightful Overbooked. Unless it's all-in day, which apparently we're going to do something different. But we'll keep you informed on that because...
Watch Along Party.
AEW does have some coming up, like later in the year, some Saturday shows. I think Wrestle Dream is Saturday.
It is.
I think World's End is Saturday. So we're gonna have some later in the year, obviously, some show reviews. Maybe we might do some watch alongs. I haven't done a watch along since I was at Body Slam, so might have to do that.
We should. Oh my God, how cute would that be? And then oh my God, and then I can make an English breakfast.
An English breakfast. Okay, I'm into it. But yeah, normally we're every Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, 5 British Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central. Those are the ones that I know. But yeah, where can the people find you? Did you plug?
They can
plug all your things.
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms, including Threads _queer_auntie. TikTok is where I'm blowing up right now, and I didn't mean to. I'm trying to get my Instagram numbers to go up because I'm just sitting at like 1,600, and I know that that's a lot, but like comparative to like my Twitter and my TikTok, which my TikTok is over 10,000, and my Twitter is at like 5. We got to get the Instagram going. I need to be more active on it, and thus my Threads are linked to that. I don't know how that happened, but I'm enjoying Threads because it's kind of like a secret little like society, and I just kind of love it. But go follow me. Yeah, go follow me on all social media _queer_auntie. You can find me here every Sunday. We're back for Wrestling Made Me Cry. And Thursdays over on our local establishment podcast, doing the Honor Ramble for Ring of Honor, and we do our little post shows. If you want to know anywhere where I am streaming, I need to get back into streaming on Fridays. It's been too warm. My office is sun facing, so it's too warm here. I don't have AC. As you can see, giant box fan. So we'll get back into streaming in the later nights. I have some Sims to stream. It's just cozy and whatever. So be looking at my social medias because you're going to want to hang out because we're cool.
Maybe I should get on Threads. I'll get on Threads.
You'll get on.
Just do some shout outs. Shout out to Jackie. You're the best. So happy to have you back. So happy to be back. Shout out to Ryan. Get that money. Yes, get that money. We are on Threads. Ace, I will be on Threads.
Yeah. Bullying you for more social media.
Can my Threads be public if my Instagram is private?
That I don't know because I've never had a.
Because my Instagram is private, but
it's probably for the best.
Thoughts on hologram, 10 out of 10. All that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us and listening to us ramble about just random things that I've seen from wrestling for the last 3 months. I'm catching up. I've only been back from DC for like 2 weeks. I have a lot to catch up on. I know. Don't rush me. I am on AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. I used to talk so much on AIM when I was younger, which was not healthy.
Same.
Don't let your kids on the internet. But anyway, all that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Like I said, here on Fightful Overbooked, noon Eastern. Yeah, all the things. Wrestling made me cry. Go team.
Bye.